Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we are going to discuss why this is called the direct path. Why is the path of Vedant, the path of self-knowledge, called the direct path? See, when we say it is direct, it means there are no, you can say, obstacles to it. It is easy. It can be done. It is doable. And it is pretty obvious that the reality of existence, it does not require any nod to tell you, anybody's nod to tell you that you exist. This is pretty obvious. So why this is called the direct path is for the simple reason this is unmediated knowledge. Aparokshanubhuti itself means this. There is no mediation. Last class we discussed this. How many factors are required for vritti-based knowledge to take place. But in this path, you see, because it is what you are searching for is the very essence of your existence, the source of your being. All that is required is to turn the mind inward and intuit it. There are no other factors required there. That is why it is called the direct path. If the mind is really very, very sharp, the buddhi is very clear, and the mind very pure, which means it can perfectly reflect the light of the self, this will really appear like the direct path.
Path of experience.
The path of direct insight. You cannot call it the path of experience because I told you, you experience many things which are not real. So it is the path of direct insight. See, this is what they will be telling you in the next few mantras. It's so interesting. Let us go to page 208. Yeah, Canto 2, Mantra 12. Eko Vashi Sarva Bhutantaratma. That mantra. Eko Vashi Sarva Bhutantaratma Ekam Rupam Bahudhaya Karoti Tamatmastham Yenu Pashyanti Dhira Stesham Sukham Shashvatam Netaresham. Eternal peace is for those and not for others who are discriminating and who realize in their hearts Him who being one, the controller and the inner self of all, makes a single form multifarious. See? And Sukham Shashvatam, Shashvatam Sukham belongs to Him. Na itaresham, not to others. To whom? One who through discrimination is able to know the essence of being. That self which is also the inner controller, the inner self of all, and one alone in all beings. So you see, the thing is, for any other form of knowledge, you have to employ a whole lot of mediating factors for that knowledge to be understood, known, for it to become yours. And you require definite thought forms. But this knowledge, it is the knowledge of the self. You see, the self is that which enlivens even your thought process. How will you know it through a thought process? So the way to know it is turn the equipment inward and develop the faculty of intuition. Developing the faculty of intuition, that is what is called Dhi, the Dhi Shakti. Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat, you say in the Gayatri, isn't it? It's a prayer for the development of this inner faculty of understanding or insight or intuition, which will give you the direct knowledge of the self. Until then, it's only, through vrittis you are trying to understand. Through Shabda Praman you are trying to understand. So this is a very important idea in the Upanishads. This is the direct path. Because the self is more than known. This is how they put it, It's not just that it is not unknown. It's more than known. Your very knowledge is a set within the entire sphere of existence and consciousness. So be very, very, very acute about it and you will attain it. This is what they tell you. Meditation is to produce that acute buddhi, intellect. So that is why it has always been eulogized as the direct path. Every other form of knowledge is indirect. Many mediating factors produce that knowledge. Here there's no factor, not even mind. You just know. See, there's a way of knowing without deliberation. That is what is called insight, intuition. You have in a way transcended the process of deliberation itself. You just know because you have become so sensitive to that subject. And the intellect, if you maintain it in a particular way, it will give you these insights. Even in daily meditation, you can grow. If you have a very clear mind and intelligence. So this is how this knowledge is got. Go to the 13th mantra. See, these are very beautiful, profound mantras of the Katha Upanishad. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhira stesham shanti shashwati netaresham. Eternal peace is for those and not for others who are discriminating and who realize in their hearts Him who being the eternal among the ephemeral, the consciousness among the conscious, alone dispenses the desired objects to many. See, Nityo Anityanam. He is the eternal in the midst of the ephemeral. And Chetanas Chetananam. He is the consciousness of all conscious beings. So, one who through discrimination realize Him in their hearts, the one who is like this, to them belongs eternal peace. A deep calmness will descend on you if you know that your real nature is immortal, ever free, unbounded, and of the nature of consciousness which can never be touched or destroyed. Isn't it? See, even if that intellectual sense comes to us, oh, I am actually that. I can never be destroyed. And all knowledge and power are already within me. It gives you such a sense of peace and calmness. You know what gives irritation to the mind? Our littleness, our smallness. That is unbearable to the mind. So it is constantly tensed. It suffers stress. When you feel threatened, you suffer stress. When you feel small or left out, you feel stressed. If you have at least a concept of yourself as the infinite, it is, very calming. And what to speak of it when it becomes realization? It is perpetual, refreshing joy. Every second, a renewing kind of joy. The touch of awareness is like that. So in the Bhakti Shastras, very beautifully it is described. Swadu swadu pade pade. And the more you repeat it, not that you get bored with it, the more you relish it. That is the nature of this happiness. It is really bliss. So you must know how to touch it, that's all. The beauty of the whole thing is you are already that. See, how do you realize that which you already are? You just have to wake up to this knowledge. If it was something to be acquired from the outside, then seriously you have to put effort and all that. The good thing about this is it is already your true being. Just you must allow the mind to open up to it. Do you know the story of that waking up? Okay, let me tell you a story. I've told this story earlier, but I don't know if everyone knows it. So you see, there was a class of primary school children, and the teacher was a very interesting person because she knew well the ways of children, and she knew how they think and imagine and create situations for them. And so she was, for many years she had been teaching kids, so she was very good at it. So one day she wanted to drive home a point to these children. So she started telling them a story in the class. Okay, so all the children, okay, come close to me. All of you sit close. And now I'm going to tell you something very, very interesting, she said. So they were very young children, 6, 7 years, no, 5, 6, 7, that age group. And then she said, just think of this, just think of what I'm going to tell you. Suppose tonight your mother fed you well, and because all whole evening you had played, and then you ate well, and then you went to sleep, and in the sleep you had a dream. Imagine this, and in the dream, you and your friends and your parents and their parents, all of you visited the zoo. Imagine this. So now you are all at the zoo waiting at the gate, and they are just going to let you in. You are so excited. You bought ice cream and cotton candy and chips and whatever you need for your little outing. And then with lot of joy you entered the gates. And then you and your friends went ahead. Your parents are right behind you. Then you started seeing all the smaller animals first. First you went to the cages where they kept the birds. You saw the peacocks, you saw the rabbits. Then you went to the place where they kept the snakes. So you saw so many varieties of snakes. And all the children were already very happy, just imagining. And then you went to the cages where they kept the smaller animals like hyenas, porcupines. Then you went to that place where they kept the rhinoceros and the hippopotamus, these animals. Then finally, after seeing all this, then you went to the elephant place where they kept the Indian and African elephants. And that was so exciting. All of you shouted and screamed and tried to catch the attention of the elephant. So you were enjoying yourselves. Then finally you came to the cages where they kept the big animals, the wild animals, the lions and tigers. So it so happened that the cage for the tiger, see, tigers in India are quite small. Although yes, the Bengal white tiger is really huge. But I have seen the African safari. There the tiger is really, really huge. Almost double the size of the average Indian tiger. Really huge and such a wicked face. It's so ferocious looking. If you go from here to here, he will follow you. Yes, in the cage. And also there are cages like, they are open on top. Big cage and they are open on top. But if the tiger strikes and causes a dent, the cage will bend. So sometimes it's frightening. But then outside that cage, there's a huge space where the tiger can roam. And then there's a kind of moat, a body of water, and then a huge wall. And you're standing on the other side. So it's quite safe. So usually it's like this because nowadays they don't keep big animals in small cages. So these children were all seeing the cage with the tiger. And he was really frightening, huge one. Then it so happened, like when they were discussing how it was and how it was looking at them and all that, the tiger did strike the cage and caused a dent. The cage bent on one side and the roof, the top is open. So the tiger hit once more and it bent further and he managed to jump out of the cage. Usually he goes by the gate. But this time he managed to jump out, but still there was a lot of barricades still. So then he was roaming about there, and then it so happened, seeing so many children in front of him, he entered the moat. the water. And before you could knew what he is going to do, he even climbed the wall next to the moat. Then all of you really stepped back. And then now you all of you are stepping back and scared. What will happen now if he jumps over the wall? And it so happened that suddenly somebody shrieked from some side because they really saw him coming towards the wall. And then all of you started running backward and calling the guards and everything. And then there was a loud growl. And you turned back and saw really the tiger has jumped out. Has jumped over the wall and now he's only a few feet away from you. So then you started running at the top speed as fast as you can. You ran and yelled out to your mother, and you don't know where everybody is running. All the kids are shouting and running. And then suddenly you found a cold paw falling on your back. And you shrieked and saw, and that big, terrible face of the tiger is on you. Now you are half dead already. In fact, the children were really red in the face and some had already started crying. And then she said, now the tiger is on you and you fell on your back. And now you face this terrible prospect of being eaten alive. And you can't see anything. You're so shocked with fear, you can't even shout loudly. In this situation, what will you do, my children? Tell me, she asked them. Then one little boy who was sitting there, he said, I'll punch the tiger in the nose. And another one boy said, I'll call my mummy, she'll be somewhere around, she'll come and help me. I'll kick the tiger, another one said. One little girl stood up and said, Ma'am, I'll just wake up. You remember it was a dream in which you went to the zoo. So Vedanta means you wake up. Because there is no real tiger to kick and snub, and it never really happened. This entire dream of Maya going on around us, see, this is a very high standpoint. Usually we are so enmeshed in Maya, we don't see it like this. But actually speaking, until we have awakened to full consciousness, it is like a long drawn out dream. See the beautiful scenery here, how it gets covered up with clouds, exactly like that. The reality of the self is all covered up. So you see, the solution Vedanta prescribes is you should wake up. Before you try to do anything else, awaken to full consciousness and you will find the solutions to the problems of life. Because you know, all your problems are due to your semi-conscious state. Most people don't agree to this, that they are semi-conscious. In fact, we are not even semi-conscious. We are,
Conscious.
minimally conscious. Like sleepwalking we are doing. And so obviously you will be compulsive. When you are not conscious, you will be compulsive. So that's why the problem. So you are part of the problem that you are fighting. When you are part of the problem you are fighting, you can't find the solution. Because you are the problem. In many situations you check and see, we have contributed to the problem very effectively. So first thing is to wake up. If you are deeply conscious, you will handle situations very differently. You will handle people differently. You will not cause negative situations around you. You know, these are all have you heard of the law of attraction? You attract into your life the experiences you want. It's almost a psychological principle. I speak of it in terms of laws of positive thinking. Because the law of attraction, the scientific community refutes it. But the principles of positive thinking can never be refuted. Remember this, what you will repeatedly think, you will actually become and create around you. So where you invested thought energy is part of the ambience you're creating. If I keep telling, oh, today I'm stressed out. Today my boss gave me too much work. He's no good. Today I'm really down. You will become like that. And even in the midst of some pressure, if you say, I'm fine, I'm fine. See, during COVID, no, many people practice this and they really felt the effect of it. In every situation, if you say, no, I'm fine, everything will be well with me. It will really go well, I'm telling you. Because what you think repeatedly, you are creating. You will become that and you will create that atmosphere around you. So, there is a way to handle our thought, emotion, and will, and our faculty of imagination. Right here, you can frighten yourself with a whole lot of things, you know. If you keep imagining all sorts of things, you will start feeling all sorts of emotions. And you create that kind of space and energy around you. One famous humorist actually said this, you know, that my life is full of disasters which never happened. He just thought and created disasters for his life. So take care of your thinking faculty. See, you're laughing because that is the situation in many lives. It's not just, I keep forgetting his name, the one who said this. But it's so true of most lives, you know. You think and think wrongly and keep creating all sorts of situations around you. So you can drop this entire thing just by every morning practicing positive thinking along with your meditations. See, at the end of the meditation, it should be a very harmonious feeling within yourself. Everything will be good because God is there. We are children of God. We are in His hands. Everything will be fine. This kind of a monologue in the mind. Even in very negative situations, as you were asking yesterday, if you keep this going, no, I will find the right solution because God is with me. The divine is shining in my heart. I can find the solution to any and every problem. I will overcome everything. The whole world will work for me and it will work for you. I am doing fine. Everything is well with me. And everything will be well in the future. And everything will be well. And if you say, oh, I'm so stressed out, I'm tired, you will get tired. See, this is a huge psychological law. You know, mind affects body. Not just vice versa. Mind actually affects your body. So take care of this because this is a... People fail here. Before we go to Vedant, you must know how to take care of your mind and its ways. How to think properly. How to emote properly. And start the day on a positive note. You will end it on a positive note. You know, if you keep this kind of a monologue running in your mind, nothing negative will come close to you. See, isn't it easy? You practice this and see. It's not just a psychological consolation, it's an actual law of life. So we are capable of overcoming any situation in our life. First we learn to handle all this, then you'll see Vedanta will become very clear. The solution there is you wake up to reality. Once your mind is happy with all these disciplines of mind management, you will see it can pursue this. It can dive into the self. So all these are practical principles for realizing the direct path. Now go to mantra number 14. Tadetaditi manyante anirdeshyam paramam sukham katham nu tad vijaniyam kimu bhati vibhati va. How shall I know that supreme unspeakable bliss which they realize directly as this? Is it self-effulgent? Does it shine distinctly or does it not? See, this is the question. How do I know the self? See, the nature of this light, the light of awareness is, it not just reveals objects, it also reveals itself. That's the nature of light. I told you, the nature of light, like the sun for example, it not only reveals all objects on the earth, it also reveals itself. So you can see the sun by its own light. That is the nature of light. So also the self being self-effulgent, you don't require another medium to illuminate. Another instrument to know it. It is self-revealing. It is self-revealing. All you have to do is turn the mind towards it. Quieten it and turn it towards it. So that is why this very beautiful next mantra, na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Which means there the stars and all this does not shine. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra na tarakam. Neither the sun nor the moon nor the stars shine there, nor do these flashes of lightning. And what to speak of this fire? He shining, Brahman shining, all these shine. Through his luster, all these are variously illumined. So all illumination is due to the presence of Brahman. In fact, all perception is due to the presence of Brahman. All knowledge is due to the presence of Brahman. Please watch the video Epistemology of Cognition. You will get the entire idea. How exactly consciousness is at the heart of the very perceptive process. So that's why you see, I can see the sun. Can this table see the sun? Why?
Jada.
It is Jada. A self-aware object can see, can know, can hear. A non-self-aware object, your robot, cannot do anything by itself. According to its programming, it's running. So you see, at the heart of anything is consciousness. So this is why they are saying that there all these illumining factors don't exist. The self shining, Brahman shining, everything else shines in its presence. So if you are only semi-conscious, not fully conscious, what will you see of perception? You will have only semi-perception, isn't it? That is why you don't see the world as it is. We are seeing it as our mind interprets it for us. Any object is like that. See, before you start studying the object, you must study epistemology. The process of seeing the object, studying the object. How exactly do I know the object which now I am going to study? Because if that is faulty, if your very perceptions are faulty, your object is faulty. What study are you going to make out of it? So this entire thing is the speciality of Yoga and Vedanta. So many wonderful theories of perception are there, across all these 6 philosophies actually. And in Yoga and Vedanta, they are very, very interesting. How do I know an object? So you see, now I'm seeing any one of you. Actually speaking, what is happening? Every object throws off a certain amount of light, electromagnetic radiation, which enters my eye. So the rejected light is entering my eye. The color of whatever you are wearing or the table is actually the color of the electromagnetic radiation it has absorbed, but I can never see that. Are you getting this point? See, let me illustrate it for you. This is brown in color. Do you know why it appears brown?
Because only brown is reflected.
Only brown is getting reflected into my eye. The other colors of Vibgyor are getting absorbed. So the actual color of this is not brown. It is what it has absorbed. But brown is the rejected light which entered my eye. So I see it only as brown. How fallacious our very perceptions are, you see. Then when it enters my eye, what happens? The rejected light now entered my eye. There's an inverted image on the retina. And then the optic nerve carries that image into the visual cortex of the brain through the thalamus. It goes to the visual cortex of your brain. There it is interpreted as this object. Now you see, what exactly happens there is nothing but a combination of its neurochemistry. But how do I get a 3D living image of the object in my mind? If you go out and see this entire scenario, how does it get accommodated in my brain? Electromagnetic radiation and neurochemistry, how can it produce this 3D effect? How beautiful the scenery outside, when we go to the gallery, we can see that, isn't it? How does it take place in my brain? Think and see. Such a small thing it is. And after all, it's electromagnetic radiation and neurochemistry combination. How does it produce a real life 3D experience of the object? See, this is where science cannot explain anymore. But Vedanta will tell you that, you see, the parda of your mind, exactly how it works is, it works by creating a modification, a vritti of the object, which is illumined by consciousness shining within. Because you are a conscious entity, the vritti is illumined by consciousness behind it, and that creates knowledge. Unless you were conscious, hardly would a vritti mean anything, a modification of your mind. And unless a vritti was created, you actually cannot absorb any object into your system. So this contribution of yoga and Vedanta to the process of perception. So you see, at the heart of the perceptive process is consciousness and mind. Because if you are not paying attention, you may be looking but you are not seeing. You may be looking but you are not seeing. This is also possible. You're sitting in the class and looking at me but not hearing. This is also possible. If the attention is not in place, if you're not attentive, you will not see. So you see, attention, awareness, and fundamentally consciousness is responsible for your perception. Where does science speak of this? So you see, the very process of perception, this is what they are telling you. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Brahman shining, everything else is shining. This is the meaning. You are the very seat of perception, you as Brahman. And everything else, every other object is an aid to your perceptive process. You see, this is one aid. It enhances my perception. All your instruments are aids to your perceptive process. But you don't understand the seat of your perception. You have developed all the aids. Your microscope and telescope and satellites and everything, your space technology, all meant to aid your perceptive process, help you see the universe better. Isn't it? But I must understand, at the heart of all of this is my consciousness, Brahman. And tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. This is what they are telling you. See, it's very deep knowledge, I told you. They don't mince words. They are straight away telling you. Pay attention to this, because this is at the very heart of what you are calling knowledge and perception. Then we go to page 222. There, I'll tell you, the third canto, go to mantra number 9. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya. This is so beautiful. न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनं हृदा मनीषा मनसाभिक्लिप्तो य एतद्विदुरमृतास्ते भवन्ति. See, his form does not exist within the range of vision. Nobody sees him with the eye. When this self is revealed through deliberation, it is realized by the intellect, the ruler of the mind that resides in the heart. Those who know this become immortal. See, the whole method is outlined. You cannot see it with these eyes, because it is that which enables your eye to see. You cannot understand it with this mind because it enlivens your mind to function. But when this self is revealed through deliberation, it is realized by the intellect. If you keep doing Vedant, somewhere an insight will come into your buddhi, which is the ruler of the mind that resides in the heart. See the importance of heart again. Heart is dhi, is consciousness. That's the final formula actually. Raman Maharshi used to say the world is in the mind and the mind is in the heart, and that is the whole truth. Shall I repeat? The world is in the mind is in the heart, and that is the whole truth. Because you see the world only through the mind, and the mind becomes mind because of the heart. So the way also is then pointed out. But this is not subjective idealism. You must distinguish this. It's not to mean everything is in the mind. What it means to say is, how is it that you see an object? You see an object through a mental faculty, through the vritti in your mind. But what is it that illumines that vritti? Your consciousness. So ultimately, that is the very seat of all that you are seeing. So by knowing this, you become immortal. You cannot see it with the eyes, isn't it, obviously? So you have this popular concept in all religions of the vision of God. So then is that unreal? God appeared in a particular form. It is very real as you are just now. Because we consider our personality to be real, why can't God also come in as a person? Why not? So all visions are real. See, just because we are studying Advait Vedant, you can't dismiss all that. In fact, we must become wiser so as to accept everything as it is. If I can take a form, why can't God take a form? If I can go by a name, why can't God? So everything is real. Dvaita is real, Vishishta Dvaita is real, Advaita is real, every religion is real, every path is real. It all depends on what exactly you want. If you don't want anything, then you will keep doing all kinds of argumentation. But if you want something solidly, you will give everything its due place, its due respect. So you see, all visions are real because they impact your mind. They change your sanskars. And as long as I am true as a person, why can't God be true as a person? So, for the extreme Advaita, what is called Shuddha Advaita, they don't want visions because they don't want form. They themselves have disidentified from their form and name and personality. So for them, consciousness alone shines forth. But for everybody else, they want a more effulgent, more divine form, more refined form. Isn't it? See, one beautiful thing about Dvaita, you must remember, if you get attached to the form of God, you will lose taste for human forms. When you learn to worship the Supreme in a beautiful form, do you think you will fall for somebody here? That is why the importance of all this. How to overcome our sanskars, how to overcome our negativities and the strong passions within us. Learn to love God. So don't dismiss Dvaita philosophy before you have realized Advaita. There's a beautiful saying, no? Don't disembark from the horse which... No. Don't whip the horse which you can't disembark from. That's the fact. Dvaita is the beauty of Dvaita philosophy, dualism is it will refine your entire system completely. Worship, devotion, just do it and see for a few days. You will generate all the sanskars for the higher life. But initially, only because just out of my thought, I dismissed all that. You discounted very important aids to the higher life. What did you get out of that? So let's be smart. Understand where we are. Yatishwarji Maharaj used to say this also. You must begin from where you are and proceed. Don't begin from where you are not. Just because your thought took you there for the moment, it'll bring you back, don't worry. So begin from where you are. And a Dvaitin with spiritual experience is far better than an Advaitin without spiritual experience. This is also Yatishwaranji Maharaj. Please read the book Meditation and Spiritual Life. It's a direct aid to higher life. So many beautiful points are there. Because Yatishwarji Maharaj was a spiritual dynamo. So, this is what the mantra 9 is telling us, that you can know the self in all these ways.
This is also in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Same time.
Yeah,
Yes.
mantras get repeated.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mind,
yes,
mind.
yes. Concept is there. Then yada panchavatishthante jnanani manasa saha buddhischana vicheshtate tamahu paramangatim. When the 5 senses of knowledge come to rest together with the mind and the intellect too does not function, that state they call the highest. See, when you manage to transcend, yes, jnanendriyas and manas, the antakaran, then you will know the self. Not that you put them to rest and go to sleep. Don't mistake it for that. Many people do that in the name of meditation. When one goes into samadhi, one comes out a man of luminous knowledge. When one goes into sleep, one comes out with tamas. Isn't it? So, there's a way of transcending the mind. See, you transcend karmendriyas through jnanendriyas through manas and chittam, and manas and chittam through self-knowledge.
Just elaborate a little.
See, usual tendency of human being is to be very active. That's normal. But if you culture your mind, you will be mentally very active. If you culture the higher intellect, intellectually you will be sparkling. And there will come a time when you understand that the meditative state is the highest, higher than all of this. And by transcending this effectively, you enter the meditative state. It's a graded course. Don't think just if I stop activity, I will get into meditation. You won't. In fact, activity can be done in a particular way for the meditative state to be possible, like karma yoga, what we say. So, all of this is meant to finally get us self-realization. See, what else can be the purpose of human life? Tell me. That's why Thakur used to say, God realization is the only purpose of human life. Everything should be geared towards that. That's the point they are trying to make. Now, go to 11. Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam apramattas tada bhavati yogo hi prabhavapyayo. They consider that keeping of the senses steady as yoga, one becomes vigilant at that time, for yoga is subject to growth and decay. See, indriya dharanam. Sthiram indriya dharana means steadiness of senses. Have you seen a yogi's face? The eyes will be steady, not restless, because the mind is steady. The speech will be steady, harmonious, not stupid, because the mind is steady. So you see, it shows through the senses, the state of yoga. This is what they are saying. One becomes vigilant at that time. His inner being is totally vigilant, awakened. Because yoga is also subject to growth and decay. Yes, you can grow in yoga. You know how yoga is just like climbing a mountain. So you go down, you go up, you reach a peak, then you come down. But coming down also is further climbing up. Coming down a mountain is also to climb the next peak. So usually it will go like that. But if you leave it in the middle, you will become a yoga bhrashta. Then again you have to start from ABC. Who is a yoga bhrashta? He is described in the Bhagavad Gita. One who has sidetracked on the path of yoga. And if you get sidetracked, you go on reverse gear. You'll go backward. But you won't lose the sanskars of what you have already gained. So you will come into a family where you will be able to further,
Start.
yes, continue your journey on the path of yoga. This is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So you see, the point is this: steadily to, see, the word yoga comes in Vedanta itself, in Katha Upanishad. To keep steady on the path of yoga so as to take you to the highest knowledge of Vedanta. This is very important. Otherwise, intellectually you have understood. Emotionally you are utterly not accepting these facts. And practically you have no way of realizing them. This will be the situation. See, many people are like that. They only read Vedanta, nothing else they do. Or they hear YouTube talks, but they won't do anything else. But look at the life of all these masters. They didn't even know the scriptures, many of them. But the life was like that. Most important thing is pay attention to life. It will take you into the heart of life. If on an everyday basis we are not handling our situations well, if we are not able to keep peace in our family, how will you do yoga? Tell me. So that's why nowadays there are life coaches, people who are giving you ideas on how to better your life. So this is very fundamental to the yogic process. First get your life in order and then you can practice easily. I always say this: sattvic life and very, very refined mind, these are enough to give you inner harmony. The Buddha said all that you need is a clear conscience and a clean heart. Kind actions are more important than too much learning. Please understand. Kind actions are more important than too much learning. They will keep your heart peaceful. And I'm quoting now from Imitation of Christ. A clear conscience will give you more joy than all the joy of philosophy. So that's why yesterday I said that learning means karma yoga, meditation, all this, and not just book reading. Learning. When it comes to learning, we usually associated it with ideas. And we think that reading a lot of books will make us very intelligent. It will improve your skill and intellectual acumen in terms of analytical intelligence. But there are 8 types of intelligence. And if you fail in the other types, analytical intelligence also will go. There is existential intelligence, there is creative intelligence, there is musical, linguistic, so many types of intelligences are there. If you culture only one and fail at the others, this one also will go. So I am telling you, culture all of them. The entire mind has to be cultivated. Most important for that is karma yoga, becoming sensitive to the feelings of others. Automatically you will develop emotional intelligence. It's a huge part of intelligence. Meditation, automatically you will develop spiritual intelligence and existential intelligence. Automatically you will become deeply aware. So bring all this into your life. Otherwise, nowadays there are videos on YouTube like successful people read the greatest number of books. So take care of all this also, is what we are saying. Then, naiva vacha na manasa praptum shakyo na chakshusha astiti bruvato nyatra katham tadupalabhyate. It cannot be attained through speech, nor through mind, nor through eye. How can it be known to anyone apart from him who speaks of it as existing? See, the greatest definition of Brahman is that he is isness, existence. Nobody can refute existence, isn't it? Can anybody say, I'm not sure if I exist? Nobody can say that. So existence is primary. And that's why this existence and consciousness go together. And pure existence is pure consciousness and it is pure bliss. So you can't see it through the senses and all that, but your existence cannot be doubted. See, I can even doubt your name, isn't it? And I can doubt your qualifications and your whatever goes into making your personality. Can I doubt your existence? So this is what they're saying. The most elemental and fundamental thing about you is this isness, being, irrefutable, undoubtable. So focus on that, because at the heart of that is your what you're calling I. Then next one, 13th. Astityevoupalabdhavya tattvabhavena chobhayoho astityevoupalabdhasya tattvabhava prasidati. The self is first to be realized as existing, and then as it really is. Of these two aspects, the real nature of the self that has been known as merely existing becomes favorably disposed for self-revelation. See, it's a very deep statement. Tattva bhavena, the true transcendental nature of truth, is revealed to one who has known its existential aspect. One who has known the nature of existence.
It means Sat aspect.
Sat aspect. The Sat aspect of something is to be known in the first person. So then it won't become something. It will become I. Once you know the Sat aspect, easily you will intuit the Chit aspect. And Sat aspect belongs to all things in this world. So everything is a symbol of Brahman. Isn't it? If you see it that way, everything is a symbol of Brahman. There are people who have realized the highest using any symbol. Do you know? And in all cultures, there are so many symbols. So everything in existence is divine. That is the meaning. See the next one. Yada sarve pramuchyante kama yesya ridi shritaha atha martyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnute. When all desires clinging to one's heart fall off, then a mortal becomes immortal and he attains Brahman here. The obstacles to Brahma Vidya are the ways of our mind. See, what is the starting point of desire? Tell me.
Avidya.
Avidya. Ignorance. Ignorance produces a lack, a thirst within you. You don't know what it will be quenched with, so you just chase something. These are the stupid ways of the mind, without understanding, without scrutinizing it, you will just chase something. Once you get it, you know what the mind will do? Once you get it, it will push it aside after experiencing it and say, what next? This is the nature of the mind. This is called the hedonic treadmill. This theory of pleasure. If you single-mindedly pursue pleasure, you will one day find nothing pleasurable. If you cultivate the mind, you will find deep happiness within you, which has nothing to do with pleasure from objects. So cultivating mind, education should be about that. Not ahead. Today's education is all garnered towards giving you a good job and making you earn more so that you can keep chasing desires. It's failing in the objective, primary objective of education. So this is to be able to understand this deeply, the nature of desire and how it distorts your knowledge and perception. This is very important in the spiritual life. See, desire runs economy. When we say now, oh, desire is of no use, then how will things run? The problem is for any country or community to work together. If they have a mature understanding of life and consciousness, the nature of their desire will become different. It will not be desire for object, it will be desire for greater harmony, desire for service, desire for you can become very ambitious in this way. I tell this always to my IIT kids. See, you can't curb a man's ambition, but you can change the object of that ambition to become broad and wide and all embracing, all loving, that everyone in this world should be happy, and that feeling of intense kindness in your heart. This is a huge desire, It's an expansive desire and it will liberate you along with others. So like that, you make your ambition so big, so huge, that really it will become something Vedantic. Because how can you tell a young man now, a 24-year-old young man, don't desire? Can you tell him that? For him, at that moment, life is all about experiencing it fully. So you make your desires so broad and wide and all encompassing that it will no more be a little obstacle to the higher life. This can be done because the very nature of the human soul is expansion. That's why Brahman, Brihatvat Brahman. The very nature of your soul is vast. So aim at the right things in life, the right kind of desire.
Higher principles.
Higher principles, higher love, growth, and something, you see, if you have a desire like, I want to earn very well so that I can help millions of people around the world. That this kind of a desire will never bind you. I want a lot of money in my pocket so that there is no beggar ever in front of me. I am able to fulfill everybody's needs, whatever they are. This kind of a desire will never bind you. It will expand you enormously. Then you desire money, wealth. What's the harm? So you see, desires can be made so huge. And in fact, that this is the only thing which will satisfy you, your consciousness, that you are able to embrace everyone. Because I told you the other person is you in another form. Can you imagine the pain you feel in those railway stations when children are begging? It is unbearable actually. It is so painful. So that's why I'm telling you, consciousness can be made to expand through the medium of what you are calling desire. And that should be the only purpose of desire. Little selfish desires for the satisfaction of body and mind will only make you very small. This people understand later in life. But if this can somehow be instilled into young minds, that is why, service activities, community service should be made compulsory. That time they understand this naturally. That, oh, I got such happiness by making him happy.
In sixth, they did that.
In IIT courses, no, we have practicals. So in those practicals, compulsory is they have to serve in some measure. Either they come to our schools, the Delhi school, and serve the poorest kids, give them free tuition in maths and science, whatever they require over the weekend, or go out and serve some slum in the near closer areas, or at least go and help those gatekeepers' children, and do something of service, and then you will understand. You see, a kind of awakening happens when you are able to serve, and then you will understand that truly a lot of joy comes with when my consciousness expands. You eat an ice cream yourself. I tell them this always. Eat a chocobar yourself, or you give it to a poor child. Measure and see how much joy you got out of it and how much joy you got when he ate it with such delight. And you will understand so much more joy comes by giving joy to others. It is irreplaceable, these experiences, no? Whatever theory we discuss, you must go out and do karma yoga. Make it the philosophy of your life. But not that you go out and exert your restlessness. Many people can't keep quiet, so they are going out and doing something. Not like that. With a definite purpose, so as to make it a yoga. Like that, if you do, it is a liberating factor. In fact, all saints and sages did that only after their realization. Whatever, see, the Buddha, after his enlightenment, he could have gone into, stayed in samadhi. He had that capacity, he was the avatar. But he could not bear the misery of a single person. Very sensitive, the Buddha heart. He could not bear a single tear in anybody's eyes. So he said, no, I will not go into that state. Rather, I will give this message to others. So you see, that Buddha heart is required. Expanded consciousness, karma yoga, bhakti, all this will naturally bring this knowledge to you. But if you remove this from life, just because intellectual gymnastics is very nice, you won't get it, I'm telling you. It's an entire overhauling of our personality that brings this knowledge. So we will stop here, time is up. Tomorrow we can continue. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.